Okay, so I think we are recording. Dr. Marcus is watching, and probably I'll mess it up because I mess it up most of the time. Okay, let's go right here and let's take a look at the review sheet. All right, so we're going to go through this federalism section right here. And if you look at it, the federalism section goes almost exactly with the PowerPoint slide for slide for slide. So I'm going to pull up the PowerPoint with the federalism, and I'm just going to start and try to get through federalism maybe in about 2 minutes, 10 minutes. All right, so we'll put up. So grants and aid. So remember what we said about grants and aid. That the government just gives, federal government, national government just gives money to the states. All right, and so the first type of grants called categorical grants is for specific purposes. So then I'll just go through the whole thing. And then
Okay.
all right. Okay. All right. Block grants are for more general purposes. So if it's categorical grant, might be for school lunch. Remember that Michelle Obama kind of thing. And then block grants are for more general purposes. All right. A project grant, that's when states apply for it. They kind of compete for it. All right. Mandates or orders from the national government. They don't give any money along with it. All right. So states don't like this. Hey, hold on just a second. I'm going to shut the door so I'm not bothering people who are walking by. Okay. All right. So then you're moving on to the matching right there. So you can match them up if you want to. But remember, the national government likes a lot of control. The states governments they like money. So like 6 and 7, the federal government likes to control. They don't want to give money away. The states want more money. They want to be, but they don't want to be told what to do. Mandates are their least favorite thing. All right, so then you have those two models of federalism, dual federalism, and so the metaphor is layer cake right here. So this is what conservatives like because it keeps limits on the federal government. All right. On the other hand, liberals like cooperative federalism. So the national governments get involved in kind of the state's business and they're working together. All right. And so that's called the marble cake because when you take a bite of marble cake, you never know what you're going to get. All right. Liberals like cooperative federalism. States' rights reminds them of segregation or slavery. Okay. The other types of federalism, competitive federalism. States are going to compete for people and resources. Permissive federalism, the national government lets states have a share of its resources, and the new federalism is conservative. That's Reagan and Scalia.
And please come to the front office of the high school.
These judges right here who want to keep the power of the national government under control. All right, so there's that. I take a break, a breath. All right, and then we're looking at the advantages of federalism. So remember, it's spelled C-C-C-U-T-E. So C is a compromise between a unitary and a confederal form of government. So there's power to the national government and to the states. Keeps government close. There's our local leaders, and so you can call these guys, or I could call John Meadows as long as he was alive. All right, C is checks and balances, and so liberal states are checks on Trump. And conservative states are checks on President Obama. Provides unity, not uniformity. So that means states can still be different even though they're part of the same country. All right, experimentation is so what? T. Let's do training first. CCCUT, training for our officials. Remember, the best thing to have been is a governor. Experimentation. So states serve as policy laboratories. So our examples was Obama got health care from Massachusetts. Clinton got welfare reform from the state of Wisconsin. All right, let's keep going. So then you just have the debate. The decentralists, kind of the conservatives, states' rights folks, Jefferson, Calhoun were the early states' rights guys, and then more recently Reagan, Scalia, and Thomas. Their argument is that the states made the Constitution, and they also especially like the 10th Amendment, which says that power is not delegated to the national government, nor denied to the states or reserved for the states. All right, the centrists, on the other hand, Hamilton and Lincoln, both Roosevelt's and Lyndon Johnson, they're doing the Johnson treatment when he's arguing for the Civil Rights Act. All right, and their argument is first three words of the Constitution is "we the people, not we the states." All right, and they say, hey, the national government speaks for all the people in the country. You know, the underdogs and minorities, and the way state governments don't always, because state governments are sometimes dominated by majority factions. All right, and boom, that's it. All right, so let's then go to the review sheet. So that gets us all the way down here. And so then we go to like the political stuff. All right. And then it go to the parties. All right. So let's go over here and work our way down to are you a Democrat or a Republican? Not yet. Not yet. Not yet. Not yet. Almost though. Keep going. Almost. Boom, look at there. All right. So there it is. All right. And so you have your little test that you took. So then it's the constituencies. All right. So there's the Democratic constituency. Constituency means groups of supporters. All right. And there's 7 of them. All right, and there's a Republican constituency. So the Democrats, we know, is kind of the underdogs in society. And the Republican traditional ones. And so the question is, has there been a realignment, and do we need to add a 7th working class and kind of transfer? We don't really have, so just maybe add poor whites or the working class factory workers, the Rust Belt, something like that. If in fact there's been a realignment by that group towards the Republicans. All right, let's see. So then it's how you get your opinions. That's socialization. And family's number 1. School tries to make you patriotic. We said that. All right, and then the influence of religion was traditionally liberal. But then it kind of changed with the late 60s, 70s, 80s. And so we generally think of white Christians as being conservative because of abortion and gay marriage. All right. But then there's variation within religious groups. So white Protestants tend to be very conservative. Jews tend to be liberal. They associate with oppressed groups in history. Catholics are kind of split. All right, and then you have the story of African Americans. African Americans are over 90% Democrat. I would say, I think I'm going to add something to this slide right here. They are the most conservative Democratic constituency. So the key to Biden holding on and winning the primary is African American support, especially in the South. Where's my little font size there? Will that work? Oh, let's make it smaller. Yep. Okay, so African Americans tend to be pretty culturally conservative, pretty conservative on gay marriage. So that's like one of the functions of party, unifying different groups. So just because they're very Democratic doesn't mean that they're liberal. So they tend to be fairly conservative Democrats. All right, kind of big mix, white liberals, white Democrats, much more liberal than black Democrats. All right. Okay, Latinos tend to be populist, so a little bit of overlap, with African American churchgoers. All right, Cubans, Marco Rubio, for example, conservative, anti-communist. Okay. Men more conservative than women. That's the gender gap. Women are kind of a swing vote. Most recently in the midterms, you had suburban women. That's the real swing vote in the presidential election this time. So are swing voters or suburban women going to be offended by like Elizabeth Warren's comments on gay marriage and heterosexual marriage? Okay. So then we don't do that. That is not on our test. Let's go down. Let's go down. Let's go down. Let's go down. almost there. So we're going to the parties. Boom, boom, boom. It's coming, 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 it's coming. I just know it's down there somewhere. Where are the dang parties? Boom, there it is. Let's go back up to the review sheet. All right. So there you go. So then you're getting Schott Schneider. And the whole rest of the thing. So now it's just the parties unit. So we're in business right here. So we can go straight through the parties. All right. Okay. So you got the Jefferson saying, hey, he'd rather go to hell than join a political party. And you got, because they're like divisive, you know. And Schott Schneider saying you really, really need political parties for democracy to work. So then you got the definition. They want power, so they'll sacrifice their convictions, but they want to get power by winning elections. All right, number one goal. And so, you know, the helpful thing about it is, generally speaking, they kind of compete for the center. All right. So then you talk about the conventions. It's the voice of the power party, kind of that 4-day pep rally for the party. So we talked about moments in the conventions. All right, 3 goals of the convention is to name the candidates, unify the party, different constituencies within the party, and adopt a platform. It's got 4 days. You got the speeches, first day, the platform, and the keynote address. That's where we first heard Obama's name with that keynote address. Senator Obama's name. The vice presidential speech is on day 3. The presidential speech is on day 4. Look out for that coming this summer. Okay, so in the general election is that Tuesday, following the first Monday in November. Our method's called the Electoral College, so there's the math of it. 435 representatives plus the 100 senators plus 3 electoral votes for Washington, D.C. equals 538. You divide that by 2 equals 269. A majority of that's 270, so you need 270 states to win. States are winner take all with the exception of 2. All right, so 5 times now in our history. Got to change that. Good gracious. Let me see if I can change that. Escape. And I need really a new picture. 2016. Trump. Okay. All right, we go back up there. I breathe a second. All right, then we go down. All right, now there are those who want to get rid of it, but it's hard to get rid of it because it requires a constitutional amendment. Got to be proposed by 2/3 of the House, both houses of Congress, ratified by 3/4 of the state legislatures. That would only be done during a time of great consensus, not political division. And you only want to change it in a time of political division right like now, so it's going to be hard to do. All right, George Will says an electoral college creates an electoral mandate because electoral victory is almost always a bigger number than the popular vote. So like in 2008, Obama won by maybe 4 or 5 percentage points, but his electoral total was nearly double McCain. So then Obama can say, hey, let's do health care because the people have really spoken. All right, so then it's worm. The 6 goals of political parties. Number 1, to win. Number 2, to unify gay marriage folks and African Americans, even though they disagree on that issue. Number 3, to run the government. Hey, the Democrats are running the House. The Republicans are running the Senate. That's why we kind of know what's going to happen with impeachment. Mobilize supporters. Nobody's ever been better at that than Trump at these Trump rallies. Raise money. It costs a lot of money to run, and they try to recruit qualified candidates to run. All right, so there it is, worm. All right, so then we did realignment. Every 30 years there's a change in who's winning and why. It's got 4 characteristics: a realigning election, a new issue, there's going to be a change, and it's enduring change, so it spells out Rice. Okay, and so we focused on Lincoln and the Republicans in 1860. They formed, it's the only successful third party. They formed, it was the anti-slavery party. And then we went on to the election of 1932 with Roosevelt, and there's the New Deal coalition right there. Okay. All right. Do a little review right there. I'm going to send a text to my wife who said I needed to go by Chick-fil-A. I may see some of y'all at Chick-fil-A while I'm picking up the food. All right. Okay, so it's de-alignment during the first part of my life because the South starts losing the working class, and the Democrats start losing the South and the working class. But then it's become evenly divided. And so if you're in an urban area today, the Democrats are running things. If you're in a rural area today, the Republicans are running things. And if you're in a suburban area, you're in a purple area. Okay, so then here's our two-party system discussion, and we're going to be in business. All right, so we're the exception rather than the rule. So why is that? So you watch the animal kingdom thing. And so if you don't like the guy in office, you've got to unite behind somebody else. If you have 3 or 4 opponents to the guy in office, they're going to split the vote, and those votes are all going to be wasted. So you got to get behind one alternative. On the presidential level and on the congressional level, because every congressional district has a single member. And the rule is whoever gets the most votes wins. First past the post. So that's what he's talking about on the Animal Kingdom video. All right. In European countries, they got proportional representation. So you get 10% of the vote. That 10% is not wasted. You get 10% of the power. All right, other reasons. We've got a two-party tradition. We've had that ever since the Federalists and Democratic Republicans. It costs a lot of money to get a third party on the ballot, and we tend to not be very ideological traditionally in the United States. So as we've kind of moved to the extremes, we've become kind of more European, is really kind of what's happening right now. All right, so the effect, traditionally, the two parties compete for the center. Whoever's closest to the middle wins. So multi-party systems, they have to form coalitions. All right, we've already said that we're more moderate. All right, so then there's the history of third parties, and we're getting very, very close to the end. Republicans seceded as a third party. Usually what happens is one of the main parties takes over the issue of the third party. 3 types of third party: the single issue party, such as the Prohibition Party; the factional or the splinter party, such as the Progressive Party, led by Teddy Roosevelt, who split off from the Republicans in 1912. And, well, the Republicans and the Progressives split the vote and elected a Democrat, Woodrow Wilson. All right, and the ideological party, these are the true believers on the far left and on the far right. Okay, good things about new parties. They bring up new issues that the main parties are scared of. The bad part is they spoil things for their side. So, hey, my mom said, I'm going to vote for Jill Stein, the Green Party. I know what you're going to say, that's a vote for Trump, so I didn't say it. She can vote for who she wants to. All right, we didn't talk about this. But we did say the parties in government are really, really strong. That's why we know that the House is going to impeach and that the Senate's not. They do what the leaders say. So it's because of ideological homogeneity and that gerrymandering. So every congressional district is Calhoun, 75-25. Whether it's 75% Democrat, 75% Republican, there are very few swing districts. All right, we didn't talk about that. We did talk about this. So what did we just say? So that independence up to 42%, and what was it, like 30% Democrat, 25% Republican, something like that. So in the electorate, the party's not doing very well. However, independents may be really, really liberal or really, really conservative. So just because somebody's an independent doesn't mean they're a centrist. And party identification is still the strongest predictor of voting. So, I've got some independent friends who but they may be independents, but they still always vote Republican and they always vote Democrat. And that's all of it, right? Yep, that's all of it. Let's go back to the sheet. Let's take a look at the sheet right there. And that's it. Yep. All right. And then the final step is, can we make this thing work? I sure hope so. All right, what do? I believe I clicked this thing and then it'll stop. All right, we'll see.